Hello, boys and girls. This is Mr. Merasco for Story Time with Mr. Merasco. It is our final week of school, so this will be our final time together for story time. And I want to share with you that I've enjoyed reading the different stories to you throughout the year, especially during this time that we've been apart. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of these stories and you continue to do some reading at home and enjoy your summer break. But remember to continue reading. Before I start my story, I shout out to Elliot Owens. Elliot was the first one to correct with the helmet challenge, and he came up with Purdue University. So Elliot, great job. Our final helmet challenge of the year will be this one. Now this might be a helmet of you may have difficult finding. It is an alternative helmet. Usually this school, university, institution wears a solid gold helmet that looks very similar to the Notre Dame helmet. But this is one of their alternative helmets. It's actually one of my favorite helmets as far as the design. So let's see who can come up with this school or institution that wears this helmet on occasion. You know, we have a lot of stuff going on in our world, and I actually had planned on reading this story before things have gotten kind of chaotic in our world. It's about Jackie Robinson. And Jackie Robinson was the first African-American baseball player that was allowed to play in the major leagues. And he faced a great deal of negative treatment, prejudice, and he had to overcome many great things in order to play Major League Baseball. So let's hear the story about Jackie Robinson. Jack Roosevelt Robinson was born January 31st, 1919, in a small old farmhouse near Cairo, Georgia. His parents were Melille and Jerry Robinson. Jackie's grandfather had been a slave. Jackie was the youngest of 5 children. His father worked in Jim Sasser's plantation, but he worked for such slow wages that his wife said, "We're no better off than slaves." Jerry Robinson complained to the owner of the plantation. After that, he was no longer paid wages. Instead, he became a sharecropper. He kept a share of whatever he grew and gave the rest to Sasser. In July of 1919, Jerry Robinson said he was leaving to look for better work. He traveled by train to Florida, and he never returned. After Jerry Robinson left, Sasser told Mally and her children to leave too. Mally worked as a maid for a while. Then, in May of 1920, she took her family west to Pasadena, California, where her brother Burton lived. He urged her to join him and get a little closer to heaven. For an African-American family, Pasadena was not quite heaven. The public pool was only open 1 day a week to blacks. In the movie theaters, blacks had to sit separately from the whites in the balcony. On Pepper Street, where the Robinsons lived, one neighbor called the police because his wife was afraid of African Americans. The white neighbors cursed the Robinsons and even threw rocks at them. They tried to scare them out and then buy them out, but Mally would not leave her home. Very sad. Jackie, however, loved games and sports. He played dodgeball, stickball, jacks, and marbles. He played to win, and he usually did win. So he was like any other boy. Just loved playing games, being with friends. At John Muir Technical High School in Pasadena, junior college, Jackie Robinson started as a track and field athlete, a football star, basketball, and baseball. At the University of Los Angeles, also referred to as UCLA, He was a football hero and the first student to star in 4 sports. So he was a great athlete in college. In 1940, at UCLA, Jackie Robinson met Rachel Isom, a smart, beautiful nursing student. At first, Rachel didn't like Jackie. She thought he was arrogant. But they talked, and she realized that she was wrong. Jackie was a warm and sensitive man. Jackie Robinson left UCLA in the spring of 1941, a short time before he had graduated. He wanted to work and earn money to help his mother. So Jackie went to Hawaii, where he joined the Honolulu Bears, a professional football team willing at that time to have African American players. However, on December 7th, 1941, Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, near where Jackie lived. Luckily, he was already on a ship heading back to California. Following the attack, the United States entered World War II. In 1942, Jackie Robinson was drafted into the Army and sent to Fort Riley, Kansas. Jackie complained when he was kept off the Army baseball team because he was black. He complained, too, that the Camp Post Exchange, the PX restaurant, had separate sections for black and white soldiers. Jackie Robinson and other African Americans at Fort Riley applied for training to be officers. They were turned down, naturally, because they were black. Jackie spoke to Joe Louis, an African American heavyweight boxing champion of the world at that time, and a soldier at Fort Riley. A few days later, Jackie and other African Americans were admitted to officer candidate school. The Army Lieutenant Robinson came to Camp Hood, Texas. There, on a bus, the driver told him, "Go to the back where colored people sit and belong." Separate seating on the Army bus was no longer allowed. Jackie Robinson didn't move. At the last stop, the military police took him to the duty officer. They argued. And in August of 1944, Robinson was court-martialed, put on trial by the Army for not showing respect to the officer. Jackie Robinson was judged to be innocent, but he had enough of the Army life, so he was released a few months later. In 1945, professional baseball was a segregated sport, meaning blacks played on one team, whites would play on another team. There were no African Americans play on any of the major league teams. They played in the Negro Leagues, on teams such as the Homestead Grays, Birmingham Black Barons, and the Kansas City Monarchs. After Jackie Robinson left the Army, he played shortstop for the Monarchs. He was a good fielder and a hitter, and fast, and a smart base runner. Negro League baseball attracted large crowds, sometimes even larger than the all-white major league teams playing in the same city. Jackie Robinson didn't know it, but among the thousands of people who watched him play were scouts for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Branch Rickey, the president of an all-white team, had decided it was time that the Major League Baseball become a truly national game and open it up to all players, black and white. The scouts were looking for an African American who was good enough to help the team and brave enough to be the first black in an all-white league. On August 28, 1945, Branch Rickey met Jackie Robinson. Rickey told Robinson that he'd like for him to play with the Dodgers, and at that time the Dodgers were one of the best teams in baseball. But he told him that he would expect trouble. Rickey said, "I'm looking for a ball player with the guts, not enough to not fight back." In 1946, Jackie Robinson played for the Montreal Royals, the Dodgers' top minor league team. That year, he also married Rachel Isom, a beautiful nursing student he had met at UCLA. They had 3 children, Jack Sr., Sharon, and David. In April of 1947, Jackie Robinson reported to the Brooklyn Dodgers. At first, however, some cities said he could not stay in the same hotels as his white teammates or eat at the same restaurants. Ball players on other teams threatened to strike and not play the Dodgers. They insulted Robinson. They even kicked him. He received letters threatening him and his family. Baseball players and fans said that Robinson's experiment wouldn't work and that blacks and whites could not play on the same baseball team. Jackie Robinson proved that they were wrong. The year 1947, Robinson's first on the Dodgers was said to be the toughest first season any baseball player had ever played. At the end of it, though, Robinson was selected as the Rookie of the Year for being the first ball player in the major leagues to be a rookie. In 1949, he was selected as the most valuable player in the National League. While Jackie Robinson played for the Dodgers, the team won 6 National League pennants, and each time they played the New York Yankees in the World Series. The Dodgers won in 1955 and were the Major League Baseball champions, led by Jackie Robinson. Until 1956, when Robinson retired, he was one of the best players in baseball. In 1962, he was the first African American inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame. In 1956, Jackie Robinson was awarded the Spring-On Medal of Sportsmanship and his work with young African Americans. In the years following his retirement from baseball, Robinson worked as vice president of Chock-full Nuts restaurants. He was active in efforts to get equal rights for African Americans and helped establish the Freedom National Bank in Harlem, New York. Jackie Robinson was stricken with diabetes and a heart disease and died on October 24, 1972. He was only 53 years old. Jackie Robinson was a gifted athlete, but it was his courage more than his ability to play baseball that made him a truly great person. Being the first African American player in Major League Baseball was an important step towards equal rights for Americans. You know, can you imagine this great baseball player not ever being able to play in the major leagues because of his skin color? Would have been a sad loss for all of those. Jackie Robinson wore the jersey number 42, and that number is the only jersey number that is retired in all of professional sports. No one in baseball is allowed to wear the number 42 in honor of Jackie Robinson. And one time every year during the season, every baseball player will wear the number 42 in honor of Jackie Robinson. So I want you to take a minute to just think about, how do we treat others? Do we treat others with respect? Do we show kindness and love that we would want treated towards us? Thank you, boys and girls. Have a great day. And thank you for letting me share the story of Jackie Robinson.